You know, Henry David Thoreau said, "The devil finds work for idle hands." What are we going to find in Seattle Distilling's Idle Hour Whiskey? Let's find out. Stay tuned. Hey, you've tuned in to the Rookie Wine and Whiskey Enthusiast channel, YouTube's primary channel for discussing Pacific Northwest wines and whiskeys, including spirits, but not exclusively. And today we are going to go ahead and review number 2 of my local Support Your Local Distillery Challenge. This is the in-depth review that I went ahead and mentioned in my first overview challenge video that I did. So, that being said, before I go ahead and dive into the review of Idle Hour Whiskey from Seattle Distilling, please go ahead and, if you like this content, please go ahead and hit the subscribe channel, the subscribe button, and when you go ahead and do that, a little bell icon is going to pop up. When you hit the bell icon, please go ahead and select all, not personalized. That way, when I do upload these types of videos, you are notified. Also, please go ahead and hit the like button as well. That way the YouTube algorithms do their thing and draw more people into this particular video. So that being said, let's go ahead and dive into. Now I went ahead, I was at my local Total Wine and I saw this little 375 milliliter bottle, Idle Hour Whiskey. Now it doesn't say straight on it, so I was a little hesitant. But I picked up the label and I'm going to read directly from the label here. We're two families who care deeply about what we make. Our process is honest and intentional to use the best local, sustainable ingredients we can find and make our spirits right from scratch, grain to glass. Idle Hour is a single malt whiskey distilled from barley grown in the Palouse Valley of Washington State. A touch of local wildflower honey is added during fermentation that lends a subtle sweetness to this Irish character. We hand cooper and house char our used French oak Cabernet Sauvignon cask, then barrel aged to perfection. So they're putting it in at the barrel at 115 proof. This bottle is 88 proof. Why did I read that? And what has really got me excited about this distillery, and I didn't even know about these guys actually until I went into Total Wine, is that they're trying to do things, well, they're taking the American rules and saying, nah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do it the Irish way with this particular whiskey, which is using used oak, and not used American oak. They're using used French oak that had Cabernet Sauvignon. Already, it's really got me excited. So I sent them off an email and I asked the person a series of questions. Now, I got to say, the email I got back has made me even more intrigued, and I can't wait till I can get a chance to go out later this summer to visit these guys out on Vashon Island. So I'm just going to read directly from the email here. Who is the head distiller and what got them into distilling and how long have they been doing it? So this is the email I got, but this is the first answer. And as a Montana boy, at heart, this excites me. Our head distiller is Paco Joyce. We're a true mom and pop shop. Paco learned the art of distilling from his Uncle Bert. Uncle Bert grew up in Butte, Montana, the younger brother of Paco's mom and one of 13 kids. As you may know, there's not a lot to do but get in trouble in Butte, especially in the 1950s and 60s. Bert and a few other boys tinkered around with making wine and beer in the garage. They had a real bad batch and decided maybe they ought to distill it. Their dad, Paco's grandfather, was a metal worker there in Butte, and his welding shop out back seemed like just what they needed to build a still. And thus began their backyard moonshining in Butte, Montana. This is just great. I love this. Rumor is that they even distilled lawn clippings one summer. Rumor also has it wasn't very tasty, but it did do the trick. So Paco grew up with these legends. He started making his own wine and spirits nearly 30 years ago. And when it was time to go legit, it only made sense to build our still from scratch. We repurposed an old 1950s steam kettle from a Texas public school cafeteria and built it from there. How full circle is this? Paco and our other founder, Ishan, built the copper kettle top and columns back in Butte at Uncle Bert's foundry. I love it. The story alone has me just, my heart is like, okay, it's kind of giving me a love for this. There's also another question, and if we get to it, you know, we'll go ahead and dive into it. But anyways, so let's go ahead. So let's go to a couple of the rules here. It can't be called a new American. It can't be called an American single malt because they're not using new American oak. It can't be called straight because it's not been aged for 2 years. So what have we here? We've got something that's probably aged between 1 year and 2 years, probably. Based on the color, I'm going to say it's probably closer to 2 years. She didn't say anywhere in the email how long it truly is officially aged, but let's go ahead and take a nose. Right off the bat, I am definitely sensing the Cabernet Sauvignon influence on this barley. Now there is a barley sweetness, definitely a barley sweetness here, but I'm also getting hints of raisin, a little bit of plum. There's a barley, I want to say a barley syrup note, like a cereal note to it. Plums, a little bit of plum, a lot of raisin though. And I do smell, I don't know, maybe psychosomatic, maybe I am smelling a little bit of that honey sweetness that they added during fermentation. All right, let's go ahead and have a sip of this, shall we? I can see where they've got a lot of the Irish. They like their Irish whiskeys. I suspect, I have another plane flying over my head here. I suspect they probably are an Irish whiskey fan. I am getting a lot of that barley sweetness. The wine notes from the barrel are subtle. It rounds out that sweetness. There's a little bit of citrus notes there, but I'm getting a raisin. That raisin note is prominent when it comes to the flavoring. Overall, it's not. Now I will say this is not a very heavy whiskey. This is a whiskey. I don't think there's not a whole lot of long legs on this glass. They're fairly quick. But the nose on it is beautiful. The taste is beautiful. I am really excited about what these guys are doing now. They did close down their original location. Apparently they are moving into a larger location. There still is, and she sent me a picture of it, and it's really kind of cool. And I'll see if I can transfer this picture to the video here. You could see the old copper kettle cafeteria pot underneath this beautiful copper pot still, and then you've got 2 column stills right next to it. Now, whiskey isn't the only thing these guys make. They do make a gin, they do make a coffee liqueur, and they do make a vodka. Let's see here, just want to double check. They do have a gin listed. So, anyways, now I paid only $22 for this little $3.75. And by the way, a lot more of these craft distilleries are going to the smaller bottlings. That way you don't have to invest in a larger bottle in case you don't like it. But oh boy, I do love, and I did this with the Ardbeg Black as well. I do love, and I like to see these whiskey distilleries using more traditional style wine casks as influence. What I would like to see from these guys here is I would love to see them use new American oak and then finished in a used French oak or American oak Cabernet Sauvignon, or even a Syrah barrel. I think they have, these guys here, you know, this is really the first whiskey I've tried from these guys, first thing I've ever tried from them at all. I like it. This is a solid 87 or 88 for the whiskey itself. I'm wondering what it would be like aged a minimum of 3 years like the Irish do. Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, I will end up buying a full bottle of this at some point. So, anyways, have you guys had anything from Seattle Distilling? Idle Hour Whiskey, have you had it at all? Let me know down in the comments down below. Are you guys planning on maybe visiting these guys? I highly recommend it. I'm going to be visiting in the summer as soon as I get a chance to break away and head on over to Vashon. For those that don't know, Vashon is an island out in the middle of the Puget Sound here that has a lot of eclectic people and unique people living on it. So, anyways, let me know down in the comments down below. Is there another craft Washington or Pacific Northwest whiskey or craft distillery you guys want me to try? Put that down in the comments as well. So, that being said, you know, please, folks, drink responsibly. It is summertime. And please drink plenty of water while you're drinking your whiskey as well. So, as always, life is too short for either bad wine or bad whiskey. This is a really good and interesting new craft spirit. I do recommend it. Cheers. New bottle on the way.